morning, good morning, good morning. Firstly, thank you for coming to Orlando, Mickey Town. We're going to reimagine some things, as Disney says, but it's an exciting time for us, exciting time for the industry, exciting time for us as vendors, exciting time for customers. As the world we know it, as the way we do things, in business and personal life gets affected by AI incrementally, it is seeping in, sort of how the internet, seeped into our lives. And now it's part and parcel of everything that we do, essentially. And why is it exciting? It's exciting because everything can get reimagined with AI. So when you think about that and say, okay, why does Core AI exist? We thought about it internally in the company and said, businesses are going to get reimagined. And if we can be an enabler of reimagining that business, that'll be awesome. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's once in a lifetime opportunity. In fact, I believe that this is the single largest opportunity in the history of modern business, essentially. So when you look at that, we saw the internet revolution, we saw the mobile revolution, and now we are in this AI revolution, right? The internet is helping us, mobile is helping us get there faster. The speed at which AI is being consumed is growing exponentially. And more importantly, what is AI is changing, at a very rapid pace with all the reasoning and planning and capabilities that the underlying models are starting to put out. So coming to models, they come in all shapes, sizes, and types. And that's the beauty of this, right? Like 2 years ago, when ChatGPT came out, it was like, oh, that's one. And now there's thousands of models. Everybody is building models in every country, of all types, for all use cases. Obviously, the focus is cost, speed, reliability, basically. But actually, the thing that excites me the most is the models that cater to specific use cases. I was in Redmond a month or so ago and was pleasantly surprised to see that the 5.4 models actually are performing so well for many use cases. Is it suitable for every use case? No. But it's suitable for many of the very important use cases. So I think the use case specific models are going to get more prominent. Obviously, the cost is lesser, the speed is already there, the reliability is there, the latency is low. And then, of course, we always hear about in the press about the big models shooting for AGI. From a business use case standpoint, I believe that the use case specific and the SLMs are where the real value is going to be delivered from, and as opposed to the massive models over time. But the good news is there's plenty of them. That space is commoditizing, and that space is going to be the foundation of what we know of the internet. That's essentially going to be the foundation of AI in general. So fundamentally, what do these models do, right? We spent a decade delivering conversational AI, using machine learning models, some semantic models that we built. You had to train them a lot for a particular use case. So training was the problem, because for every use case, you had to provide some level of training to get the accuracy up. The one beautiful thing that we as a company found when these models started coming out is the simple piece of understanding. Understanding a human in natural language, basically. And the accuracy of that is through the roof, essentially. So it's almost close to 100%. So NLP, as we know it, or NLU, to be very specific, is solved, to a large extent. Yes, you have to give it context, you have to give it some input in your instruction or the prompt, but fundamentally, computer engineers or even just regular business analysts are able to instruct a model to understand what the intent is, right? And the entity extraction is also solved to a large extent. The more important thing that's coming out is planning. And I'm pleasantly surprised with the planning capabilities of many of the models. Being able to take an instruction, break it down into multiple steps, and logically, connected steps, has been pretty resilient and it's improving over time. But obviously, if you read about AI, one of the things that everybody, and I was, like I said, in Redmond with Microsoft Research as well, the North Pole, the Holy Grail is reasoning, right? Reasoning like all of us do in our own minds, is based on our historical knowledge, it's based on the current context, the current environment, and all of that, essentially. So it's a tough problem to solve. And as businesses, can you rely on the reasoning of a model? You don't know what those things are trained on. Basically, you are just giving an instruction and context. But if you are able to rely on the reasoning to some extent, with some guardrails, with some boundaries, basically, it creates so much value in productivity, in efficiency, in automation, in the ability to move business at the speed of light. So when you look at reasoning, if you see the chart, that is moving very, very rapidly towards better reasoning over time. But then there's other things, right? Multimodal. When you look at the content that we have, that these models take as input, or you take the content that they need to generate for a human to utilize, or for a business to utilize, basically, it comes in the form of text, which is a simple thing. Then there are images, and within documents you have tables with text within the tables. You have audio and video with messages and visuals, basically, that need to be taken into consideration. And you look at the different models, they're at different levels of being able to process the input and generate the output, essentially. And I think this thing is improving, but not at the same pace as, let's say, understanding and planning. And then, of course, language. I was shocked yesterday when I asked somebody in my team saying, hey, how many languages are there in the world? I would have thought like a few hundred, right? I mean, that's what we generally think. It's 7,000 plus languages. And then you take the dialects. You're running into tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. So fundamentally, if AI is about understanding a human, right, in written text or in voice, essentially, the models need to understand all those languages and all those dialects, and then use the context. So again, this is one area where we see at least the primary languages and the primary dialects, the input and the output is pretty good for some of the large languages, basically. So the general business climate that we all live in essentially can function pretty well with these models. And then the big thing of all, right? Hallucination. This is an interesting graphic. I don't believe it, actually. They do hallucinate. I mean, I use ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, basically. And every once in a while, nonsense comes out, basically. In fact, at the same time, token cost has come down. So these are just essentially commodities, foundations for AI, essentially. This is not where the value creation happens in our industry, basically, or this is not where you as an enterprise are going to focus on anymore. It was the beginning stages of AI the first couple of years where, the latency, the hallucination, the token cost, all of that, these are becoming non-factors over time, essentially. And of course, the latency, right? Especially in voice use cases, which in our case as an enterprise AI company, the highest volume of usage and transactions and just interactions happens in voice. Interestingly, for all the digital transformation that every vendor from the hyperscalers and everybody has pushed out, you look at customer service, still 80% is in voice. People call, basically, right? That's essentially true. Maybe not as much in the digital native world, but in the real world of banks and insurance companies and healthcare and retail and everything, people still call. So latency is a critical factor, in voice because it's synchronous. The tone of the voice becomes important, and being relevant in what the voice says back is important. The voice itself is important, essentially. So latency actually, to everybody's benefit, has come down, basically. And now you have real-time streaming in voice that OpenAI is putting out, and Microsoft is coming out with something as well, which will improve that latency even further, because you're not doing conversion of speech to text and then processing the text and outputting text and converting to speech. It all happens within the model itself, basically. But I got this interesting email from a customer, which I'll play for you. So he saw my email and he said, my invite, said, how do I reimagine business? And he said, I'll go ask an LLM. The answer that came back was, just add AI to all your PowerPoints. Presentations matter more than functionality. Then he said, okay, should we analyze our current workflows? The LLM said, that's obsolete. Just ask a chatbot, transfer me to a human. Don't worry if it connects you to another chatbot. That's the new definition of conversational intelligence. Okay, how do we train employees on AI? Email everyone a 400-page manual. Read or be replaced by a robot. Nothing motivates better. Awesome culture. When should we replace legacy systems? During your busiest season with no backup. Love the sound of customers screaming at you. How do we measure success? Count confused faces in meetings, especially your board members. I have a few board members here. If they look completely lost, you're doing really well. What should I do when all this is implemented? Well, when all your employees and customers inevitably leave, call Kore.ai, AWS, Microsoft, and all the rest of the AI vendors who are impersonating, as true AI vendors. Watch all of us pitch you big-time expensive AI solutions with the limited budget that you have as you go towards bankruptcy. So, I said I don't believe that hallucinations don't happen. This is an example. Anyway, so that said, I hear this all the time. The trick to make AI work for your business is all about the data, right? True. The trick to make any application work ever was all about the data also, essentially. So this is nothing new. And in enterprises, data is everywhere, right? It's in your own data centers, it's in your cloud services, it's in enterprise system of records, it's on endpoints, it's in different databases, data lakes, document storage, right? But this is nothing new. What is new is structured data and unstructured data coming together to be used in an AI agent to execute something. That is the new thing, right? Especially the unstructured data, being relevant in a workflow, being relevant to provide context for the planning and the reasoning that an AI agent is attempting to do, basically. So when you look at all of the advancements in AI, the concept of RAG, agentic RAG, all of these things are still developing over time, and very important developments, because while we may have a lot of structured data in systems of records and data lakes and whatever, a lot of the thoughts of humans, the leadership of an enterprise, and all of that the whole enterprise has documented in the form of SOPs and manuals and emails and documents, is in unstructured format. That's where humans and businesses have documented their intelligence. The structured data is just, dumb data, right? You need analytics to analyze what that data means. But being able to discern and learn from the unstructured data is where AI can really excel, essentially, and can learn from the learnings of humans that has happened. But then while data is a problem, right? Well, data being everywhere and in different formats is a problem. To actually use the data in AI, the thing that's less appreciated is the preparation of the data, the extraction, basically, the cleaning of the data, which is a huge effort because data by its very nature was created for different purposes over different times. Basically, you need to clean that data, and then you may have to transform the data to a useful format, essentially. This is the heavy lifting for enterprises, to be able to deploy AI. The models are there, right? Other things are there. You can deploy them anywhere, deploy the AI agent anywhere, but this is where you have the biggest trouble, essentially. Now, of course, why do you need the data? You want to fine-tune a model for your use case, and with integrating that data with tools that your AI agents use. Essentially, that's the end result. But then AI agents themselves are transforming, right? Because of the planning and understanding and the reasoning capabilities of the models, right? Before Gen AI, it was all guided intelligence, what people called conversational bots. They had no autonomy, but they were very precise, right? The response is not generated, it's predetermined, essentially. So very precise. Optimized. The model is optimized with the training that you give it for your use case. There's some amount of intelligence context management. This is what many of you who use our platform have deployed, right? It works very predictably, right? Because you make sure it is predictable. But then where things are is there's some amount of autonomy that's coming in. So we released a model called Dialog GPT, which takes away the need for you to train and manage the context and all of that. It does it automatically. We released abilities for you for parts of your workflow to stay within a boundary and let the generation manage that dialogue, right? This is semi-predictable responses, but you get conversational fluidity, whether you're doing that on a digital channel or a voice channel. Intent awareness, context awareness has improved significantly. And then there's what the sell side of AI, which is all the vendors are pushing. Oh, full autonomy, just leave it to the models, leave it to the agents. Life will be awesome, right? Full autonomy. These things will understand the context very deeply. The reasoning engines are reliable. Truth is, very few large enterprise customers are comfortable to go there yet. And very few use cases that we know of, and we know are being planned, are willing to go that far in terms of full autonomy. So the state of the art is in the middle, right? It's, hey, I want to use Gen AI, but I want predictability. And the combination of some generation and some planning and reasoning with controls, with rules and business rules and the traditional predictable way of doing things is where state of the art is today, and I believe will be for a while until there's more confidence in the reasoning capabilities of these models. Oh, sorry. But then when you look at agents, the ultimate output of, rather, the ultimate goal when you think about AI for a business, you have AI agents, right, that do things. And there are different types. There's a simple reflex agent, which is like a conversational bot, very predictable, based on rules. But then what we're seeing is model-based agents, where the model understands the objective, understands the context, and provides the next step or the next best action, basically, This is now. This is happening now, basically. And in a lot of use cases, we are implementing this for customers. The other thing that's happening is the model providing the planning for a decision. Not actually providing the decision, but providing some output which enables that decision to be made inside the AI agent, basically. This is also happening in many use cases. Not some of the critical use cases, but some of the mundane use cases. And where I think AI will now go to the next level, basically, is assessing whether the next best action is going to deliver success for the objective, right? Now, a lot of this, with what I'm talking about, doesn't exist in frameworks and platforms that like you just go in there and use. A lot of this is being coded right now, essentially. But we, the vendors, are working on trying to make this thing easier to not only help you build the AI agent that can make the appropriate decision, but can also assess the chances of success of the objective or the goal of that particular agent. And that is where a lot of research is going on even within our company as time goes on. And of course, the North Pole, right? The Holy Grail, the learning agent, basically, that will critique, that will learn something. It will generate the problems and the solutions and evaluate itself, basically, in a single transaction or across millions of transactions. This is where I think the kind of vendors who are focused on building AI agents or frameworks and platforms for AI agents are focused on. That's where we are focused on, essentially. And this is a very hard thing to do, right? Every use case is different. We're learning, we're seeing, we're watching, we're experimenting, we're doing POCs, and over time, this may be where AI agents eventually end up. But why? Why AI agents? Fundamentally, in an enterprise, it's about functional acceleration. What does that mean, right? Customer service, from a benchmark standpoint, goes way up, basically from 100 to like 150 in terms of performance. Product discovery and product development goes up even further because that you have actual data that you can analyze about the effectiveness of your product and be able to improve the current products or discover new products and build them. Sales is a major function. Again, steeped in data, there's a lot of data, and you can do predictions based on that data. Marketing, clearly around generation, right? Adobe, all the marketing companies have incorporated AI into the workflows that they provide. And increasingly, marketing is, even within our company, is using it significantly. And the last one is operations, whether it's supply chain operations, manufacturing operations, logistics operations, or whatever. Again, we're seeing acceleration. And what does acceleration mean? Speed of business, right? Each one of these processes have elapsed time, humans getting in the way to meet and discuss and make decisions and go to the next step. With these models, with the AI agents, you can cut down that elapsed time, which essentially is faster decision making, right? The speed of decisions, the ability to analyze data more instantly rather than looking at dashboards and interpreting dashboards and reports. Risk assessment, ability to then allocate resources, more quickly, and to do scenario planning. And then fewer time drains. Wouldn't all of us love to be in less calls, less meetings, less Teams or Zoom calls, and less back and forth on decisions? One of the clear value of AI, finding information. Oh my God, I spent 25% of my day just searching stuff, right? Data is all over the place. No matter what It's been 20 years after Google search and enterprise search and all that. Trust me, and I think most of you will agree, just searching for stuff is still the most painful part of our jobs, basically. With enterprise RAG, agentic RAG, this has become much easier because your search is always contextual, right? And if it can understand your context and provide the right response, it makes life much more easier for you. Creating content. Look, my English is probably 7 on 10 when I write, because usually it's a confused mind writing something, basically. It helps me. It's as simple as that. It allows me to create content and then correct content. Also, I don't need to switch apps, right? We're all used to switching apps on a Windows machine or a Mac machine or on our mobile phones all the time. The world of apps, in my opinion, over time will go away because you have these master orchestrators, basically that will bring everything together and will communicate with each other and analyze information. So why? What is the why of all this, right? There's enough research to show that, obviously operational savings, right? Cost reduction. But the other one, which is very important, which we'll talk about in this conference, is process automation. Different from the kind of process automation we've been used to, BPM engines and all these other things. And also is less understood, how does this provide growth to the company, right? You can put out new products. You can gain new customers, basically. There's some research on this, but I think this is one of the main reasons for the investments in AI. And then the subjective ones, right? Happier customers, productivity gain, less measurable, basically, but that's where a lot of AI investments are going on right now because that's the low-hanging fruit. While AI delivers automation and cost reduction, in my opinion, the real benefit is growth and the speed of business, basically. So generally speaking, when you look at AI, it falls, in our opinion, in 3 categories: improve work, improve service, improve process. Work is all about knowledge, basically, and automating individual processes that an individual does. Service is automating your customer service and making that much better. Process is all over every company, basically, and how do you automate them? How do you enable decision-making within the process? But when you look at the landscape, I don't think there's a software company that changed the name from software company to AI company now, right? So I pity the customers who have to listen to these AI pitches from everybody on earth, basically. So there are lots of choices to buy or to build, basically. And you're not going to build one AI agent, you're going to build thousands. So the challenge for an enterprise would be, how? How do I do this so that I don't create a mess, essentially? And the mess has already started, to be created. It's happening in your companies, I guarantee you. AI agent development is happening at department levels, individual levels, all over the place. And guess who has to own it all? The CIO eventually, basically. And you have to deal with identity of the agent, discoverability of the agent, defining the purpose of an agent, providing roles and permissions to the agent, enabling the agents to communicate with each other, and build master orchestrators to orchestrate all of these things, essentially. None of these things are being, considered as these AI agents are being built all over your enterprise. This central element, which we've applied to humans over time, need to be applied to AI agents. And that framework is coming together right now, but it's an important element of how you put this together. So our theory is you need to standardize. You need to find ways by which you can bring more sanity to your own AI journey. You need no-code and pro-code tools. You need to choose the level of autonomy you want in your AI agents. You need templates and libraries that you can leverage. Decide who can build with AI. Is it the IT department? Is it sort of everybody, and figure out how to increase the speed to achieve that value you think you're going to get. Speed is important. I mean, you can't be in coding hell for the next 6 months, basically. That's just code you need to maintain all over again, right? How do you control these agents? What's the observability? What's the deployment cycles like? And make sure that whatever you build is completely agnostic of the models, the cloud, the data, the channels, no dependency on anything. That is what an agent platform gives you. Did I say we have one of those? We have one of those. So the platform is simple, and Prasanna, our CTO, will go into a lot more detail in this in a following session. But fundamentally, we put a lot of effort into putting out the most sophisticated multi-agent orchestration framework that exists in the market. And trust me, we do research on everything, essentially. We also put out a search and data platform, to be able to take all that data, ingest it, and be able to do retrieval and response generation and context generation, for AI agents in a very sophisticated manner. Tools to make it easy to build, deploy, maintain, and measure. Other tools to build your own fine-tuned models, a factory to go through the process of building them, prompt studios to experiment, and evaluation studios to both evaluate models, but especially agents, basically, as they are deployed. Observability to maintain control over all that. And all of the components that we've been doing for 10 years around safety, security, compliance, to different regulatory requirements as well as internal policies. But we built this platform to be ecosystem agnostic. We are model agnostic. Pick any model you want, build your own model, whatever it is. It's channel agnostic. It's data agnostic. You can tie to anything, ingest anything. And cloud agnostic. You can put it in your own data center or any cloud you want. And fundamentally, we built out these offerings around AI for work. This is around productivity, search, enabling employees to build their own AI agents with some boundaries, providing them a library, and full-blown AI agents for IT, HR, recruiting, which are horizontal functions. Service, simple. Satisfy a customer when they come in. Answer their questions, fulfill their request. Well, you're going to have a contact center anyway, because a lot of those customers are going to zero out to a human agent. That agent needs help. An AI agent can help a human agent. And then learn from all those interactions, the hundreds of millions of interactions that happen, and optimize. Optimize the AI agent, optimize the human agent. And then process. I think for the first time, we're able to do process automation with planning and reasoning and understanding. This is significant. The old way of the BPM engines and RPA is moving to the new way of agentic process automation, and we have created an entire process offering with tools to define a process, run a process, and observe what it does and how it does. And then we put out a marketplace, completely free. There are thousands of agents that are pre-built, some for complex use cases like banking, retail, healthcare, IT, HR, recruiting, and a whole library of vertical and horizontal use cases that could be starting points for your AI agent building journey. But then your organization is going to look like this at some point. It's starting to look like this. There's going to be human employees and the human org with orchestration agents and AI agents, right? It just is going to become a mess. Identity, one senior leader in the industry asked me, hey, identity is an awesome opportunity, basically. You know who I'm talking about. True, from a self-serving standpoint, basically. But at the end of the day, that identity, discoverability, communication, both between AI agents and humans with AI agents, becomes a complex thing that you need to deal with. We are here to help. Think about your AI strategy, how you architect that solution. You build it, you test it, deploy it, the whole life cycle, right? We will be with you every step of the way. We're not just a software vendor or AI vendor. To us, to me, the most important thing, and to my entire team, customer success, go lives. We work with a lot of partners, many of them are in the room today, to enable that success. We have our own expert services and support functions to ensure success. And we've done reasonably well. In our Gartner peer reviews, we're rated 4.7 on 5, and G2 Crowd 4.5. We want your feedback. We yearn for your feedback. We learn from your feedback. That's what motivates us. So, little ad, there's a booth right outside. We want your feedback. Please go there, give more reviews. We want to learn from it and use that feedback to improve what we do. What are we doing? Innovation. 60% of our employee base is in R&D, which is sort of rare in a software company, basically. When I say R&D, pure R&D. This is R&D and product development. From an execution standpoint, we're on our path. We're 11 years old. We're expanding more globally. We did a big partnership with G42 in Abu Dhabi to be able to work with them in their target market, which is the Global South, which is massive. It's like 4 billion people. We're expanding vertically, into manufacturing, into government, in addition to financial services, retail, healthcare, telecom, technology. We're expanding the use cases. Like I mentioned, we never did process automation, right? But that's turning out to be a big area for us now. We acquired about 200 customers last year, over 400 go-lives, dozens and dozens of AI agents, in fact, hundreds have been put out. One important metric that we are measuring is how many of those AI agents and customers have moved from completely guided intelligence to that middle partial autonomy to full autonomy. This is something we're going to start publishing, basically, in terms of the what, the why, the how, and what were the results, basically. This is a less understood thing in the world. Financially, we're more secure now. We crossed 100 million in ARR. We're still growing very fast. Like I mentioned, we're doubling down on R&D and product development. That's done well for us, and we'll continue to do that. We've filed about 35 patents so far. But the goal, the aspiration, is the theme of this conference. Enable reimagination of your businesses. In the process, lead the enterprise AI segment. Fundamentally, what we want to be is the operating system of AI agents, basically. We want you to think about, I have this platform, I'm going to build these AI agents, and I have everything that I need to build, maintain, measure, and manage these AI agents. That's what we are aspiring to be. So, all that said, we have a great lineup of speakers. Lots of you, customers, are up on stage speaking at this event. All of you have great stories. Please share, and I'm sure everybody else will learn from that. We have great partners, AWS, DeepGram. We'll announce Microsoft shortly, basically, and some great industry analysts, Benedict Evans, who's going to come next, and analysts from Forrester and Gartner. They have tons of research, and that's something that would be interesting for you. We have a lot of live demos. This is not vaporware, right? There's AI for work. Please go have a look at it. It is the most advanced AI productivity framework you will find. AI for process, again, reimagine how you can automate a process. Please have a look. AI for service, the overall agent platform, how it all hangs together. Enterprise RAG, and agent orchestration, where we think we've done more than anybody else. There's a demo pavilion with our partners showing various use cases and technologies. And thank you for all the partners who sponsored and supported us here. I'm super excited. This is the largest conference we've done till now. I was a little worried we'll run out of space in this hotel, but we did, actually. But thank you very much for everybody to come here. Really appreciate it. Please meet members of the Kore.ai team. We have, oh, my badge is missing. But the guys with the white badges, basically, please talk to them and engage, and would love your feedback after the show. This is your show. This is not our show. We want you to give us feedback on, what additional content we should have. This is a content-heavy show, folks. There'll be some fireworks here and there, but put that aside, this is a content-heavy show. So please, we'll share the content. All of this is being recorded and streamed live as well. Thank you very much.